So there we were. Texas A&M pulls off the reverse sweep against Louisville, and we were thinking maybe this is the greatest match we have ever seen in an NCAA tournament. I mean, because it was just spectacular. And Texas A&M said, "Hold my beer."
Let me do it again.
I mean, are you kidding me? 37-35 alone in the fourth set between Nebraska and Texas A&M, and then upsetting the seemingly invincible, the doomsday machine that was Nebraska. And it was a spectacular match. And I'll just finish by saying, thank goodness it was on 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC, and it was a showcase event. And for those people who were starting like the 1 p.m. NFL games that usually end around 4, and then there's a quick little time in there who switched over. Hey, Martha, I'm going to switch over, watch some of that volleyball before we switch over to Fox and watch the other game. They didn't leave the volleyball because you couldn't if you were a sports fan.
You
You just
couldn't. I mean, that was the most fun match that I think I've ever seen, aside from maybe the 2021 national championship with Wisconsin and Nebraska. That match had everything. It was incredibly close. It was, I mean, I want to say David and Goliath. It's not like Texas A&M is not a phenomenal team who's been doing it all year, but in this case, it felt like it was Nebraska as a Goliath and then everyone else down here because that's how good that Nebraska had been all season. Which I know we'll get into all of it, but that was so much fun. It was so good for the sport. It was so good for the tournament. I think when Texas A&M won, I don't, all the teams I'm sure go in thinking they can win whatever. But from my perspective, it was like, okay, anybody can win now because before it was Nebraska's going to run the table. I
point.
didn't think they would lose a set until the national championship. And now it's like, you could tell me any of the four teams left were going to win. Up until that point, you could tell me any of the five teams left were going to win, and I would have absolutely believed you.
100%. 100%. It was all that, and it was just a great sporting event.
So,
It had
yeah,
everything. It had a near comeback. It had athleticism.
yeah.
Look, I've always made this joke about if we went to the local high school football team and we said, all right, all you guys in the gym, take off all your padding, and I want you out here in just your socks, your underwear, and your t-shirt. And now dive on the floor as hard as you can. And if you don't do it, you're out of here. And we'd all go to jail for abusing these kids. But volleyball players do just by themselves, but what the women do, and
Yeah.
look, those two liberos yesterday, and basically I think of two liberos for Nebraska, and the kid from Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, has she come on like I cannot believe? You notice how the kids made her take the sticker and put it on the
Yeah,
bracket.
that was
They
cute.
call her, and oh my gosh, just just amazing.
I mean, and with that Texas A&M Nebraska game, I don't know if you felt this way, but I love the big events because I have non-volleyball people texting me and whatever. And my phone throughout that match was blowing up of people that, volleyball people, but also non-volleyball
And
people
you
who
got a
were like,
job to do short after you're preparing for your match.
well, let me tell you, we were so late getting there because Michaela, Eric, and I, who were all on the team, were like, we're not leaving our hotel. It was a 10-minute walk. Like, we're not leaving until this game is over. And all of a sudden, we're texting our producer and we're like, hey, we're gonna be kind of late. We're like 40 minutes late. So, like, I mean, we get there so early anyway, but we were like, we have to stay, and then we're sprinting over. I mean, that was the greatest sporting event that I've watched all year. Like in
Oh, it
any
was.
sport, it was freaking awesome.
Now, to your point, um, you said we should go back and look at all the days and catch up because the last time
Yeah.
we did this, of course, was a week ago. And so I go back to Thursday and thank you, NCAA, thank you, ESPN, for splitting this up and putting four matches each day
Yep.
so that there wasn't an overlap. You could just watch them all in a row. It was so much better for the sports fan, the TV viewer, and it made for better volleyball, I think. And
Yeah.
I don't even know how the one corresponds to the other, but it just frankly did. So the
Yeah.
first day,
Well,
um,
can I say one more thing on that? I feel like I go on Twitter and everyone just has something to bitch about. And the fact that you could watch all the games, they didn't overlap was so awesome. And then everyone's like complaining about TV windows. And it's like, can
well,
we think back to the first time that a game was on ESPN? ESPN1, just ESPN was 3 years ago. That was the first time ever. So to have most of these games on E1 or E2, let alone ABC, like, come on, this couldn't have been a better viewing experience, I thought.
the Sunday 3 p.m. slot on ABC. Thank you, Caitlin Clark. And and that's the old
Awesome.
what so many people in volleyball say: the rising tide lifts all boats. But what was good for women's basketball has been good for NCAA women's volleyball.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that when we get the ratings back for Sunday's ABC broadcast, that it's not going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So on Thursday of last week, just quickly,
Yep.
Creighton beat Arizona State. Kentucky swept Cal Poly. Pittsburgh defeated Minnesota. And Minnesota, gosh, what they went through this year and what Keegan Cook did, and for them to, they played Pittsburgh tough, even though it was a sweep. And
Yeah.
then Purdue knocked off SMU, which I don't think surprised either one of us.
Yeah, I think that day was like, oh dang it, maybe these games aren't going to be that fun, or like what are the regionals going to be like, and things progressed from there. But yeah, I mean, I was really impressed by Creighton. I think the way that they're able to come out with a first year head coach and take down Arizona State like that, I thought was really cool for the program. And then, the top teams just handled their business.
Yeah, exactly. So then the next day, which was Friday, Texas just shot down Indiana. Indiana,
Yeah.
it wasn't like Indiana played badly, but I thought Texas played extremely well in that match. You
Yeah,
had
yeah, and that's what we thought too. And I will say, like, it was a really fun game, even though it was a sweep. The atmosphere played into that. Greg was rocking. Like that place was awesome. But I also thought like Indiana was respectable in that game. It wasn't just like Texas was throwing them around and won. I don't know. I think ended up being really fun, and it was cool to see Texas go out and dominate like that because that's kind of what they had been doing up to that point. And Indiana kind of just laid it on the table, but they're a bunch of freshmen, so they'll be back.
well, you and I texted a couple of times before you went to work that day, and I think we both agreed that the Wisconsin Stanford match could have been the showcase match of the first eight,
Yeah.
and we might have been selling Wisconsin short.
Yeah.
I mean, Stanford played really well, hit a phenomenal percentage, and still lost in four because Wisconsin's playing title-winning volleyball right now.
Wisconsin looks like they can absolutely win a national championship. That offense is some of the best that we've seen, which is crazy thinking about a Wisconsin team that lost Sarah Franklin, Anna Smrek, Devin Rott, like all of these players that were pivotal on this Wisconsin team. They replaced 85% of their offense, and they're hitting over 400 in the tournament. And that match against Stanford, I think, was a perfect example of that. Wisconsin hit 420. Stanford hit 378. It was a slugfest. It was just like powerhouse kills. And I thought the middles for Wisconsin were phenomenal. They went 21 for 29, no errors, hit 700 combined, along with Mimi Collier, who throws up 27 like
Yeah,
it's
well,
nothing.
is Mimi Collier becoming this year's Jess Merzick? What she did for Penn State
Yes,
last year? I
100%.
mean,
I
Mimi's
think,
been really good, just like Jess was really good. But then Jess took it to a different level in the NCAA
well,
tournament last year, and just continued into her pro career.
I completely agree. And I think part of that too is because when Wisconsin had Furbringer out for a month, they took some losses, and that's one of the reasons why they were a 3 seed. Since they've been back, they have not lost a match. They have been playing phenomenally. And that's one of the reasons why I think Collier is like underrated in this sense, similar to how Merzick was last year, where nobody really expected Penn State to be that good. Merzick went off, ends up winning them a national title. That's the exact kind of year that Collier's having, but she's been doing it every game. She's averaging like 5.3 kills a set right now. She's hitting over 300, well over 300 on the season, and she's only getting better as the year's gone on.
And she was National Freshman of the Year, wasn't she?
Yeah, and at Oregon, yeah,
You play out in Oregon, even though Oregon's good, for three-quarters of the country, you don't, they go to sleep.
yeah,
They play.
yeah,
And then
totally.
then we had Texas A&M doing the reverse sweep to Louisville,
So
and
fun.
that was as gripping a sporting match,
Yeah.
an event as at the time. I mean, I was trying to compare it to other great college volleyball matches, and I mean, it was right up there.
It was awesome. I think, even from the beginning, A&M was in control the whole time. They blew 5-point leads in set one and set two. Louisville ended up coming back, but it just felt like during that third set that A&M had it in them the whole time. And I think to show that much poise from those A&M seniors, 9 seniors on that team and pretty much their entire starting lineup, for them to come out and show that much fight was just so cool. Also just that match felt, I feel like part of the reason why it was so fun is because you could feel the emotion from everyone, even the head coaches. Like Dan Meskey was out there, Jamie Morrison's going crazy on the sidelines. Like you could tell how much it meant for both of those head coaches and every player on the floor. And I agree. It was like, wow, this game's not going to get topped. And then of course A&M does
Yeah. But
another thing.
in that the thing that stuck with me so much in that match was Kendall Stowers, who's not a senior and who's
Yeah.
pretty amazing about the way she's come back. Uh,
Yeah.
has two kills, the last two kills of the third set, the last two kills of the fourth set, and then the kill for the fifth set. And let me tell you, from watching her play and the way she hits the ball, if I'm in Kansas City this week and a fight breaks out, I'm running to be right by her. I'm on her team because
I want to Fena Casapala.
that, oh, I mean, and
12 blocks in that one. She's unreal.
no, she is. And just as an aside, because watching the press conference from the post Nebraska match, she and especially Logan Lednicki,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, so much fun to interview, so much fun to
Awesome.
listen. I have a lot more to say about the post match on that one when we finish. And then, late that night, because it was late, Nebraska just had to wait. It obviously didn't hurt them. I mean, what they did to Kansas was criminal.
I
I
know
mean,
they were
12,
just
11, and 12.
I went to bed after the second set. I was
No,
like,
I didn't.
this is
I
a
didn't,
waste of
but I
my
woke up and
time.
watched highlights and whatever. But I mean, 35 points,
Yeah.
35 points from a team in a regional semifinal. And then,
I mean, but that's what Nebraska's done to teams all
yes,
year.
yes, there was an LSU football team a few years back, and if I say the year, I'm going to screw it up, but the greatest college football team of all time. I mean, the schedule they played, they went in undefeated, and then Alabama beat them in the championship game match. We get, but and then they became just a team that was really good in the regular season.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so on Saturday, Kentucky swept Creighton, and Creighton didn't play poorly. They just were overmatched. Creighton was in over their head.
Yeah, Kentucky just looked so good. I think, Creighton defensively too is not defensively a super elite team. And again, they haven't had the toughest competition all year. And I think as the matches started to ramp up, you can kind of tell. And I mean, when Hudson and DeLay are putting up 30 combined kills,
Well,
I
how
don't,
about you've got the 2024 SEC Player of the Year in Brooklyn DeLay. So you bring in the 2025 SEC
yeah.
Player of the Year, Amy Hudson, who has elevated her game and is playing just so well.
Yeah.
And what those two kids did on the pins, but Kentucky's a fabulously good volleyball team right now.
Well, and Kentucky is playing really well on both sides of the ball. I think their defense gets overlooked a lot, and I think they have one of the best liberos in the country in Molly Tuzzo, who somehow was a second team All SEC
Just to
honoree.
say, no liberos on the first SEC team.
Just literally disgusting. But she did win SEC tournament MVP for a reason. I mean, she's an absolute stud, and to go deep in this tournament and to win it, you have to have a good defense. And I think Kentucky is a great balance of packing a punch offensively and then backing that up defensively.
In the second match that night, Pittsburgh beat Purdue in
That was a
four
fun
sets.
one.
It was a good Pittsburgh. Purdue played them tough. Two things about the coaches there. Number one, what Dan Fisher has done, losing Tori Stafford, getting this team to a fifth national semifinal in a row. Forget that they haven't won one of those national semifinals. I think the Buffalo Bills of the '90s would be pretty proud to say that they went to four Super Bowls in a row and didn't win. I mean, what he has
Feel
done
like the
with this
Bills
group
now.
year in and year out, the man is a great coach. The players always get better, and he's not a unicorns kind of guy. I mean, you can tell he's pretty pointed. With
Yeah.
I've been to their practice, and he's just a teacher. Maybe he doesn't get enough respect for how good of a coach he is because maybe we expect it. And then what
Yeah.
Dave Shondell did this year at Purdue
Yeah.
is just unbelievable. And his post game news conference he's just so honest and open about it. And then when he said, and by the way, towards the end of it, he goes, and by the way, these kids saved my career. I was going to quit and I just took a 4-year extension. He announced
Yeah.
it at the press conference and we're like,
It was
good,
awesome.
good for us and good for volleyball.
I mean, before we did this, I made a list of Coach of the Year candidates, and Dave and Dan are absolutely on that list. And I have no idea what to do with it. Like, and I hate that it comes down to the last weekend, but I think it does.
But it does for
Um,
us, and that's so good because the AVCA has already decided theirs, and they'll have it on Friday. They'll announce it or Thursday, whenever they do the Coach of the Year. But for us, from the 900 square feet top 16 media people, we're going to pick, and the end of the season matters now.
these
You take a
matches
different
matter.
look at it because of this round of matches, and I think the Russ Rose National Coach of the Year award. I might as well. Okay, so
Yeah, but I was
okay.
making this list, and I just think there are so many good coaching jobs this year. And to your point on Dan Fisher too, he not only lost Torrey Stafford, he also lost Valerio Vasquez Gomez, his other outside. He lost his libero, he lost his setter. And to bring in that team and to have them be as well oiled as they have been, especially with a really young group. Like he has a lot of young players out on the court that have done a good job. But yeah, I mean, I thought that Pitt Purdue match was really fun. It was really close. I loved the way that Pitt was serving. I mean, Mosier just unloads from the end line, and Olivia Babcock was Olivia Babcock.
She was Mosier. Credit to her. What a great year she's had since coming from
Yeah.
Illinois. She's really good. Let me just say this. You and I have talked about this. I don't know if we said it on the Zoom, but I've talked about it. Um, I personally won't ever vote for a first year coach to win National Coach of the Year or League Conference Coach of the Year because I think the circumstances are just so different for those coaches. Because if I did, I would vote for JT Wenger from Gonzaga because he inherited a team that went 1-27 last year and they went 14-15 this year. Now, you know, that's Coach of the Year kind of stuff. I don't care. I don't care what league you play. He plays in the West Coast Conference, which is pretty damn good.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know? No, yeah, I mean, yeah, but you just can't say, Emily,
Yeah.
because they play, they're not a Power Four team that they don't deserve the honors.
Yeah.
Now normally we don't think of National Player of the Year candidates coming out of those schools because they're just not as good, or they would have gone to one of the Power Four schools.
Yeah.
But Coach of the Year, depending on how you define it, don't you laugh at me like that, young lady.
I'm not laughing. I
Okay.
just
So
he's
ask.
not on my list. I don't know. I'm not no knock to what he's doing. I think that's an awesome job. And I think there's a lot of coaches that are in that camp of like big turnarounds that I don't know. Yeah, it's been a fun year.
Greg Gural at Campbell, the Fighting Camels. I don't get to say Fighting Camels enough. So when the Texas A&M Nebraska match ended, and I was scrambling, I'm doing writing for the AVCA convention program and stuff. And it
Oh,
was,
you were scrambling.
oh yeah, well, and then it was like, wait, there's a whole nother match to go. There's a whole nother match to
Yeah,
go.
people forget. I almost forgot I had a
Yeah, yeah,
match to
yeah. You were working.
go.
So let me just say this before I want to turn that one over to you because it's all a jumbled mess to me now. But that 37-35 fourth set victory
Oh
by
my God.
Nebraska, I couldn't sit. I was standing, and I was actually having a physical reaction to watching it. I mean, like I felt like my heart was pumping faster, and
Yeah.
and I don't think it was from lunch. That my stomach was starting.
I don't know what it is. I was talking to Erica McCall about this because for some reason, when I call a match, this doesn't happen, and whenever I'd play, this doesn't happen. Or if I'm rooting for like, I mean, I guess Northwestern's never been in this situation, so I've never had this problem. But when I'm watching volleyball as a fan in these really high level matches that are really high stakes,
I know.
I get this like I get a visceral reaction of I felt like I was having an anxiety attack. Like my mouth was dry. I like could barely breathe. We're like basically running to get to the game because we're so late. And I didn't talk for like the first half hour that we were there because my mouth was so dry. Like I don't know what that game did to me, but it was like I feel like I was having an anxiety attack. And I was like, I can't imagine being an A&M or a Nebraska fan because that was insane.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and when Texas A&M finally got the one, I think they had one match point and didn't.
I think they had three match points.
Maybe so. I mean, it was. I
Yeah,
was
three match points in that
Yeah,
set.
which means if they score the point, the next point, of course, they end Nebraska's season at Nebraska, and but
Nebraska had 10.
now
10 sets.
no, I know, it's just it was, but the defense and the all out giving up of their bodies and the fearlessness. It wasn't nobody got alligator arms.
No.
Nobody was sending over cheesy free balls. Nobody was poking or with it. They were flat out going after it.
Yeah.
It was so A&M wins the first set. Down honestly, it's all become a blur to me. A&M's down early, then went on a big run to win that first set. Does that sound right?
Um,
God, I
I
can't
don't
even
remember. Yes. Yeah, they had 10-point run by Fennecost Bala. 10
and
point
then,
run.
right. And then they win the second set.
Yep.
Just like you would expect, Nebraska comes back and wins a third because that happens all the time. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any difference what the stakes are. And then the fourth set becomes one for the books. But in the fourth set, future Olympian Andy Jackson, who was so spectacular of an interview for us and so enjoyable 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
she couldn't play. it just wasn't happening for her, and they
It's just
benched
like the
her out.
connection was never there.
No, and she was off. And now look, let me say this about Nebraska. And I'm not making excuses for Nebraska any more than Nebraska would, but it's not unfair to remind people that number one, Bergen Riley was sick all week, and she was as great as she played. I mean, she had a great offensive night, hitting the ball, and she her setting was still great, but she's been sick. And then Andy Jackson was obviously under the weather. They referenced that and said that she just wasn't herself. And then to lose Ali Check right before the start of the match, she stepped on a ball and sprained her ankle.
Yeah.
Give him no options because Ali Check's a gamer, and
I mean,
yeah, and it left them no options. The Italian kid, Virginia Adriano, played extremely well. And I say Italian kid, the Italian full grown fourth year pro woman played extremely well.
the
And
21-year-old freshman.
yes,
No, I agree. I think, losing a player right before a game rattles your team. Obviously, when you're under the weather, not great to have. Campbell Flynn, the backup setter, broke her pinky, so they don't have a backup setter. I don't know if, I don't know. I saw a lot of things like, what if Campbell were healthy? It's like, they probably don't win that match if Campbell's
right.
healthy regardless. My thing was, A&M had the same problem on their side that people seem to forget about. And actually, I don't know if people know this, but A&M's libero, I only know this because someone texted me that was there. A&M's libero was during timeouts running to go throw up and running to come back on the court every timeout. So same thing was happening on A&M's side. That was in the Louisville match.
She was good, but
But like,
there's so much emphasis. Now, look, you and I both agreed about this. I think I texted you and I said, look, I would not want to go into the postseason without putting my future Olympian back on the court and taking my chances. And I think that Danny Buscom Kelly missed the boat because of her blocking. Yeah, there was a few opportunities where her block would have made a difference. And I just would. It's
I
like,
don't
don't
know.
go into the postseason holding timeouts, challenges, or having your best player on the bench, no matter how bad things were. That's just me. And I'm
No, I get that, and I don't know. I go back and forth on this, and I obviously default to the incredible coach that DBK is. Because I thought that they would just end up throwing Jackson in to start that fifth set and see how it went, and then flip back to Obeche.
yeah.
I thought that she would go in at some point, but like clearly, whether it was just a Danny decision or more of a collect, I don't know.
If it's me, I got to start at the fifth set.
I
But
was surprised not to see her at all, I guess, is what I'm saying.
let me say this about to your point earlier. Ifena Kazakpala, the middle from Texas A&M, had 6 kills in 10 errorless attacks, 2 aces, 6 digs, and 8 blocks. And
Stud.
Morgan Perkins, the second middle, who there isn't anybody in volleyball who even watched this match can name her because it's just one of those things in that match. She had 5 kills with 1 error in 12 swings, 3 digs, 9 blocks, 1 solo. Talk about an X factor.
I mean, the efficiency that A&M's middles hit at, Matty Walk has to get them the ball more. And I know that's a reason why their efficiency is so high, but man, when their middles are involved, they are unstoppable. They're both hitting over 400 for the season. They're blocking machines and they feed off of that. Like you can tell when a Fennecosta Paula gets a block and then feeds that into her offense. It's so much fun. But just what I loved about that match too was just the way that A&M never backed down. Their offense was so consistent. They were throwing punches every time. They never let up. And I said this before, but I would fricking run through a wall for Jamie Morrison. I mean, listening to him on the broadcast, they had him mic'd up before the game, and I think they played it once or twice, and then just like watching him on the sidelines, like that man's awesome. And like what he's done in 3 seasons at A&M is so remarkable.
Well, and it took him a long time to get a head coaching job, and that's a
Yeah.
story in itself. But the libero Ava Underwood, who you're talking about, um, she was just so good when it mattered. Her
Yeah.
serve receive. I don't know how to even find out serve receive ratings. I know they're out there,
I can pull it up.
but she controlled the free ball so
Yeah.
well, but her first ball contact was amazing. And I see in my notes that I wrote she had 9 kills. Of course, she had 9 digs, but whatever. Now here's a couple other telling stats though from that match. Harper Murray, who I also think is a potential future Olympian. By the way, and that's what I wanted to say before I forget. The post game news conference,
Hmm.
Danny Buscom Kelly came with Rebecca Alec, who was just overcome with emotion, really couldn't answer questions, and Harper Murray. And let me tell you, what Harper Murray, who her off the court problems are well documented from a couple of years ago, what she has become as a mature woman, as a leader of that team,
Yeah.
and the way she handled herself in that news conference, and the way she spoke to the media and took over was really something. And
Mhm.
that matters so much more than any of the volleyball. She was
Yeah.
just magnificent. And Nebraska should be very
Yeah.
proud of the way they've helped her, and she should be very proud of what she's become
Yeah.
as a mature young woman.
I,
However,
I think now I will say, just to add on that, everyone has their opinions and I think half of them are wrong. But like it's so fun to root for Harper Murray. She's such a joy to watch. I think if you know her, and I've just had the luxury of being around the team a lot, but like she is such an awesome person, and that team respects the hell out of her. I think the way that she handled herself was so admirable, especially for her teammate that yeah was basically inconsolable next to her, and the way that she spoke so eloquently was really cool to see. And that kind of just like maturation over the last 3 years for her was really cool.
and Harper's a fun kid to talk to. You
She's
know,
great. I love her.
she's a damn good athlete,
Yeah.
and I still say, remember how young she is, and think of her like in 7 or 8 years, maybe putting on 10, 12 pounds, playing professionally. I mean, I see her as a possible 2032 Olympian.
Yeah.
However, in this match, she had 25 kills, but in the final two sets, she had 9 of those kills and 7 of her 12 errors. That
And
was
she's
really
getting a
rough.
lot
She
of
got
junk
blocked
too.
a lot. She hit balls out of bounds, and she that was not insignificant for her. Uh,
Mhm.
and miss like I said, missing check was no small thing. But no matter who, look, if you're a Nebraska fan, I understand you're sad about that, but you have to recognize what a great sporting event it was and how good it was for the college volleyball world to showcase
Yeah.
itself 3 p.m. ABC. And it might be better in the grand scheme of things to have four completely different teams than Nebraska in the Final Four.
And we were talking about this last night a lot because originally like it's the thought, oh dang, viewership for the Final Four and championship is going to be less. But like maybe, and you see drop-offs, but like it's not it's not like the most significant drop-off when you're talking about like 300 400,000 people. Like yeah, that's theoretically a lot, but there's still a lot of fans. And I think the cool thing that we were talking about was the fact that Nebraska isn't in it and that these four teams are bringing in so many new viewers to the sport for people that maybe that care about Texas A&M, that haven't watched them all season, that are probably going to watch these matches or probably did watch the last two matches and now are like,
Look,
shit, I'm hooked.
the four schools that are left are big schools, huge
Yeah,
enrollment, huge alumni bases, and but you can't overstate what Nebraska has meant to the surge in television
totally.
popularity. And so the Nebraska Roadshow is like the Yankees. They sell out
Yeah.
everywhere. It doesn't make any difference if they go to Podunk U or they go to Wisconsin. I mean, it's a hard sellout because everybody wants to see Nebraska.
Yeah.
Credit to John Cook for establishing that, from the stadium game to the excellence that the program has. People want to go be a part of it and see it, you know. But on the other hand, like I said, that guy who switched over from the CBS football game, waiting to get back to Fox and never did, he's going to watch Thursday night.
Yeah. No,
You know,
I agree. And my hope is just that the arena's full. I think that's the biggest thing because,
oh, it's going to be.
that was the place was sold out. Tickets for $400 and an hour after that game, they were
Yeah, and
around
they'll be
50.
people. Nebraska fans might sell, but you know what? It's a short drive to Kansas City for the Big Red Nation, and they'll be there.
Yeah.
They'll come
Yeah.
because say this about Nebraska fans: they love volleyball. They
Totally.
love and respect the sport and the other teams. They're respectful. No, I've never heard anybody say they hate playing at Nebraska because the fans are not fair. And
Oh, God, everyone loves it.
yeah, they're great. And so anyway, lest we forget, that ended, and then you had Wisconsin, Texas, and Texas is good. Texas is real good, but it's so sad that Texas, Wisconsin, and Stanford all had to be in the same quadrant. It's just so unfortunate because I honestly think
I
that.
loved it.
Yeah, well, of course you did, but I think if the three of them had been spread out, we'd be talking about a whole different scenario possibly. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, Wisconsin's hitting on all cylinders, aren't they?
Wisconsin's offense looks like the best in the country right now. The way that Charlie Furbringer is connecting with her attackers is second to none. They are hitting 400 in the tournament. They hit around 300 against Texas on Sunday night. They, I think. talking to Charlie Furbringer, and she was out for a month. She was out for 9 matches. And the things that she was able to see while she was out really helped her now that she's back on the court. And one of those things was getting Carter Booth the ball. She saw that Carter was up available all the time. Same with Allie Andrew, her other middle. And you can see it in the way that she plays now. She is feeding the middles constantly. I mean, the coming into last night's match, Carter Booth was errorless on like 70 swings for the last 4 matches, which is ridiculous. They look so, so good right now. And honestly, what impressed me the most was that offense continues to fire no matter who they're playing. Mimi Collier continues to fire no matter who they're playing. But really, two things here. Una Vagic, who I know you're very high on, is
Well, she's just become, going into the season, you didn't know that she was going to be such a dynamic force.
well, she hadn't played in a year and a half. She blew out her knee. She had no playing time, no playing experience at Wisconsin. And in the last 3 matches, she's had at least 12 kills and she's hit over 400. And these are high pressure matches. UNC, who has one of the best defenses in the country, Stanford, a top 10 team, and then Texas, a top 5 team. So having a fresh player, not a freshman, but a rookie essentially out on the court to do that, I think is really impressive. So to have her as an X factor, along with Carter Booth, who maybe gave the greatest post game interview of all time, was just awesome.
I think she said something like they refused to lose.
She kept saying it all the week. She was like, "We refuse to F and lose," and she said it on air, and then she goes, "I'm so sorry." And I'm up
Well,
there
it
going
was so
like,
funny when she finished and she turned to the camera and she said, "Sorry about the F bomb."
and she goes, "I'm so sorry," and then keeps going. I was like, "God, I love you." She's just awesome.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Kristen Simon, the freshman libero for
Yeah,
Wisconsin. Oh my gosh. She has just been magnificent for them the last half of the season. She had 15 digs, 4 assists, 2 aces, and she's just, oh gosh, she's been so good. And I
well,
don't think we consider that going into the season.
I totally agree. I think it was a big question mark of like what the heck Wisconsin's defense is going to look like. And the defense has looked really good. And one thing that stood out to me was, I mean, Wisconsin's defense as a whole, they contained Tori Stafford to her lowest hitting efficiency of the entire season and tied the lowest kill number at 9. And a lot of that was because I thought Kristen Simon, along with the block, was just playing good defense. Like she was reading around it. She was making crazy plays outside her body, specifically against Stafford that I think stood out. And, Texas ride or dies by Tori Stafford. If they're not getting production from other players, and even if they are, they don't win a match unless Stafford goes off. It's really the same thing for Wisconsin with Mimi Collier, but Collier had an awesome game.
Yeah, and they did a great job on Stafford. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, we had this sobering thought before that match that you and I shared. If Wisconsin doesn't beat Texas, the SEC would have had 3 teams in the
crazy.
Final Four. I mean, 3 teams in the Final Four. Now, granted, they only got 5 in, but wow. And,
Yeah,
Wisconsin had, if Wisconsin hadn't won, the Big Ten would have had 0. I
yeah.
mean,
It's
talk about turning the volleyball world on its ear, this year.
yeah, and even for the SEC to get 2 teams in, I think speaks to the strength of that conference. And honestly,
The
and
top part of the conference.
yeah, oh, the topper. And I gotta say though, like working the SEC tournament, I think that as a whole prepared Kentucky and A&M incredibly well for NCAA tournament play. And I thought it prepared Texas as well. Obviously, that didn't work out for them, but just the way that they were able to compete at that level for like one of the first times earlier on in the season, I thought was really cool. And it looked like it prepared them. And I gotta say, like the middle of the pack SEC teams are very good teams. They just don't win a lot, which is weird. But I don't know, seeing the SEC top to bottom, I actually was really impressed.
No, shame on the SEC for the teams after the first 5 for not playing better and getting in. Nobody emerged. There was just a
Yeah,
whole bunch of mediocrity, and that's you know maybe it's just one of those years. So I can't wait to see you at practice on Wednesday in preparation for Thursday. The
it's
first
crazy.
match is it'll be 5:30 p.m. Central, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Texas A&M versus Pittsburgh, and followed by Wisconsin, Kentucky, and good shout out at the end of the broadcast by Emily Ehman for Wisconsin's Kelly Sheffield and Kentucky's Craig Skinner, both from Muncie, Indiana, and uh, Dave Shondell's brother John Shondell on the staff with Kelly, another Muncie guy, and A&M versus Pittsburgh. And that my note that I had there was that Fish used to be the head coach at Concordia Irvine, and Jamie Morrison at one time at Concordia Irvine was assistant to Paula Weishoff at
Oh,
there. So those are your random little tie-in tidbits, and I'm sure we'll uncover quite a few more when we take the time. But
yeah.
you got thoughts about those two matches?
Yeah, I mean, I like that there are two matchups we haven't seen this year. Kind of don't necessarily know what to expect, and just like different styles and different strengths of both teams. I think Texas A&M is incredibly physical. They put up one of the best blocks in the country, and then offensively, they are so good when they can get their middles going. I think similar to the Nebraska game, I think it's going to come down to whether Pitt is able to slow down A&M's middles and get around them. So that middle matchup, I think, is going to be huge. And then, you have the heavy hitters. You have Stowers on the outside and Lednicki on the right side, and then Babcock right side for Pitt. And the stars are going to be stars. And if they can limit efficiency of any of those, it's going to be big. And then Kentucky, Wisconsin, how well the right side block for Wisconsin is going to be. Charlie Furbringer, who's actually one of the best blocking setters in the country, which I don't think people realize.
Yeah, let me just say this about Furbinger. The time she had out, in addition to just overall, she gets to pick the brain and get coached by Lauren Carlini,
Yeah.
the greatest defensive setter ever, maybe anywhere. And the knowledge that she's been able to soak in and the improvement in her game because of that. And I'm so glad you mentioned Olivia Babcock, by the way, because we've gone the entire Zoom here without mentioning Olivia Babcock's name. And she is no less spectacular than before. She's so good.
I think with Nebraska getting out, that solidified Olivia Babcock winning player of the year to me.
I'd have a hard time right now not voting for her if you said, all right, pick one. Of course,
Yeah, she's mine.
the Jordan Larson 900 square feet National Player of the Year award doesn't come out until after the next three matches get played and the voters get to watch them all. So there is that. And then you got Wisconsin, Kentucky, two teams that are both playing extremely well
Yeah.
and in a lot of ways are real similar to each other.
Yeah, I think, you look at Kentucky, they have the best outside duo in the country in Brooklyn DeLay and Eva Hudson. Wisconsin's right side block. So Grace Egan and Charlie Furbringer have to block well. And that doesn't mean that they have to contain both of them, but they need to contain one of them. Similar to what we saw Texas do to Brooklyn DeLay in the SEC championship. Obviously, Kentucky went on to reverse sweep, but they were able to limit Brooklyn DeLay, and that shut down Texas, or that shut down Kentucky rather. I think Wisconsin needs to defend them well and get touches on the back row attack. And then on Kentucky's side, I think slowing down the middle is going to be big because Wisconsin has been scoring a ton of points through Carter Booth, plus Allie Andrew. So I think Lizzie Carr is going to have to be really big up there, and Brooke Bultema or whoever the second middle ends up being.
I can't wait. I can't wait. It's
I'm
going to,
so excited.
sometimes we get let down. There's three matches, and sometimes they're all sweeps, and sometimes they're not played as well. But the last X number of years, we've gone to the national semifinals and final and seen three really good matches. And
Yeah.
we hope that that'll be the same. Wednesday, the practice day, is one of my favorite days of the year because everybody gets together. You get to see all the teams. It's a little more relaxed. You get to visit with coaches and the players. And Emily, I don't know about you, but I land tomorrow afternoon, and my friend Herb Phelps Jr. picks me up anytime I fly to Kansas City, whether it's for volleyball or otherwise, and we go straight for barbecue. And sometimes we go chalk. We do Jack Stack. Sometimes we go to Q13. Sometimes we
39.
go to 39. That's it. And sometimes we go to Arthur Bryant, which is just
Yeah.
legendary. And sometimes we'll go to Gates, and sometimes we'll go to
Oh,
Oklahoma
I'm
Joe.
so excited.
So and look, I'm a meat eater. It's not like I'm a vegetarian, but I don't eat a lot of meat. But when I go to Kansas City, by the time I come home, I've got like the meat shakes.
I was gonna say I'm about to have meat sweats every day.
Yeah, no, it's great. Quickly before we get out of here, tell people what you're doing in Kansas City.
I'm doing studio. So I will be doing the Phil show alongside Christine Williamson and Mary Wise. So between the two Final Four matches, we'll be on for a half hour talking about A&M Pitt and then previewing Kentucky, Wisconsin. And then a 30-minute pregame show on Sunday that starts at 3 Eastern before the championship. I'm so excited. It's studio's so fun. Like, and the fact that I get, last year I was by myself with Christine, and this year I have Mary, which just makes it so much more fun. It's much more lax than calling the matches. I'm actually done calling matches for the year, which is pretty crazy to say, but yeah, my last three events of the year of 45.
There you go. You know, I'll never forget last year when Nebraska won the first two sets against Penn State, and you and I were both really tired at that point. You were on the far edge
Yeah,
of the arena, and I texted you and I said, "Reverse sweep?" Question mark.
I know.
Two of us looked at each other across the arena like it was like foreshadowing, and um, wow,
Yeah.
yeah, we will see something that we haven't seen before because that's what we get in our sport. It's great. Thank you to everyone for watching. If you're not a subscriber to 900 Square Feet, the all volleyball email, go to 900squarefeet.com and sign up. It's free. Em, can't wait to see you in a couple days.
I'm so excited. Let's crown a champ.